This is going
I hope this is going well. Okay. Hello, guys. This is Alton Henry and
Ruben Casada.
Yeah, this is going to be a underrated movie, which has created quite the diverse reaction to it. I mean, it's a
Mixed reaction.
Mixed reaction. It came out 2 years ago. Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, and first watched it. I didn't like it that much. It was crammed. It had a lot of problems. I watched the Ultimate Edition, which fixed some things a lot better for me. And we're here to talk about it, just to discuss about whether or not, should you watch the movie, or should you just skip it at all, or just whatever your opinions that we give out in the video that we think should
have been a little better.
Yeah, it should have been a little better. You want to speak up a little bit. So my first question, Ruben, because you and I both saw the movie on your own separate times. When I first saw the the original cut, I end up liking a few things in it, but then I end up not liking, like, most end up kind of like overlapping with some of the good.
Yeah,
and I just didn't really like the movie after that. What was your reaction?
My reaction was, to be honest, I didn't even like the movie. And it's because these characters are so complex. Superman has an origin story just as complex as Batman. Just like in the Batman trilogy, you find out a lot about it. You find out a lot about him and the villains that he faces. Villains that he faces are incredibly complex, and not any mere mortal could take them on. Superman's villains, they're just as complex. Lex Luthor should have never been played by Jesse Eisenberg. He was terrible.
Oh my God, you're right. He was terrible. They should have. I don't know what they were going for. They were going for like a loony kind of like
stuck up
kind of like dude was like LSD or something.
Yeah. And that didn't fit the mold for Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is incredibly complex. That's what makes him a good character. He's evil, and he's conniving, and he's always looking for ways how he could get power. And he hates Superman, not because he gets in the way of those things, but because Superman himself is an alien, and he knows that. And that's like I think he sees it as a way where mankind is being belittled and downrated towards this godlike being. And that's what makes Lex Luthor a complex character, so really good. Jesse Eisenberg couldn't fit the mold at all. He was just terrible. It was just like eating something that's been rotten for a couple of months and then spitting it back out. It was blech.
So what's the whole character like background for Lex Luthor? Like what's he all about?
Lex Luthor originally grew up in Smallville. So there's like they both grow up in the same place. Superman and Lex Luthor. They grow up in Kansas. And I think it's for Lex Luthor's backstory, he grew up in Smallville. And with that, as he got older, his dad was an abusive father. He used to beat him up and all this other thing. I think that has something to do with later on where he develops as a villain. But before that, he grew up in Smallville, and he was conniving even then. And he had this way of trying to get power, how to control other people, how to do the best he could do, because he's also a businessman. He just has shady connections with the underground. And that's what makes him a really good character, because he could actually lead those things. Like in the comic books, Lex Luthor is actually a leader for the Injustice League. And he's one of the best characters. He takes advantage of each situation, even if it's disadvantageous towards him. For example, in Superman's villains gallery, he competes against Brainiac too. Brainiac is that green guy with the super mind, and he's really smart, intelligent. He could
is he the one with the floating head, or was that with Marvel?
That was with Marvel.
Okay.
But Brainiac is this super megalomaniac villain that knows everything. He could beat Superman too. Lex Luthor could take advantage of him even if at first he seems to be at a disadvantage. That's what makes him so good. And Jesse Eisenberg could not live up to that. In fact, they shouldn't have made him redheaded to begin with. They should have made him bald, a businessman, a really good businessman. He was professional, you know?
They shouldn't cast him Jesse Eisenberg anyway. He didn't fit the bill. I heard a rumor that kind of speculated that when he was cast, he originally thought he was going to play the Riddler.
The Riddler?
Yeah.
I can't see him as a Riddler either.
No?
Well, he doesn't look like it, you know? Sorry.
That's all right.
But he can't, even for the Riddler, he has to look a certain way. And he could have, there's probably someone out there who could fit the Riddler, you know? They've already been casting the Joker, too, I heard.
Yeah, they have an upcoming DC standalone movie that's set like in the 80s called Joker, and stars Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
Yeah, and I heard that, I saw the promotional picture for that, but it wasn't very good. There's no one like what was his name?
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
Everybody's talking about Heath Ledger. Like, I was thinking maybe James McAvoy could probably
be the Joker.
Joker, yeah.
I don't know who that is, but I'll look into it. But no one could be Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger just is that Joker personified. He got into character so well. I mean, the beginning of the Batman, the Dark Knight Rises, not the Dark. Is it the Dark Knight?
It's the Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight was so good, and the reason why it was so good because the Joker's insane. He does, but nonetheless, he's like this chaotic character that seems disordered and disordered. But the way you look at it, it's like chaos. It's almost like chaos theory. You know, it looks chaotic, but it's a higher form of order itself. That's what makes the Joker, because he's so chaotic. He causes so much chaos. He's almost like an anarchist, but he's also mentally insane. He's not sane in his head, and that's what makes him a good. That's what made Heath Ledger fantastic. He brought in that chaotic side, that personification of the Joker that we always see, where he's just insane, loony. And he's chaotic. He's not, bogus in a sense where he's like a laughing clown and he does all these gimmicks like Marvel does, I don't know what would you have to say about that, like for the Avengers, like Loki?
Loki, from how he's I don't know how much of a comic book standpoint. Like, I heard some things about some of the comics, and then I don't watch the movies. I don't dwell research into the comics, so I'll kind of somewhat compare.
Yeah.
To what I've heard about the comics, what the characters are supposed to be, but I don't really research into the comics. So I mean, is Loki supposed to be some sort of Joker well, psychotic? Is he supposed to be psychotic? Because I guess the ideology for his character is supposed to be he's a trickster.
He's a trickster.
Yeah.
But he just can't live. Well, I have a problem with Marvel Comics is that they have good characters, but they're not well written, and that just reflects Stan Lee's not writing skills. The way he writes the characters, they're fantastic. Like Giant Man, Captain America. In fact, Captain America should be somebody who could beat Batman because he's a super soldier. And in the DC universe, you have a super soldier by the name of Deathstroke who has beaten Batman in the past. Just simply because he's a super soldier and he's smarter, he has enhanced. I
hated that obvious cameo of Deathstroke and Justice League.
Yeah.
That was just terrible.
That was terrible. Especially since Deathstroke is actually a Teen Titans villain. Mm-hmm. He doesn't deal with the Justice League at all. In fact, they should have just ended that movie where they ended it. They shouldn't have all right, we're going to start an Injustice League of our own. I mean, that should have been just ended. They're it. And then, for the next Justice League movie, they should have had,
They crammed that so damn fast. I was just baffled with what they did, and then what they tried to introduce in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice by entering the elements of Lex Luthor. Supposedly he's already been monitoring these superheroes, these the Flash, Wonder Woman,
and Aquaman,
and then also Cyborg for quite a while now. And there was a file that Wonder Woman downloads and she watches it, and assuming Batman already watched it, I mean, because he accessed it first, and, and then you just see files about those guys just doing their thing. It's like, that was shitty, that was sloppy, that was cramming.
It was crammed. And you know what? You're right. Because Lex Luthor, he doesn't deal with the rest of the supervillains. He's not like the superheroes. He's not like that. He doesn't deal with Aquaman. He doesn't deal with Batman. He doesn't deal with the Cyborg or Wonder Woman.
Is he aware that they exist in the comics?
He's aware of them, but his primary concern is Superman. He'll sometimes indirectly cause some trouble for them, but he's not directly a confrontational character that he takes on Aquaman. That would be just... See, that's the problem. You're right. That's exactly...
Because when I saw that, I was like, God damn it. I know what they were going to do. Because originally, from what I heard... when they did Man of Steel... They had no intentions of doing like a cinematic universe. They didn't. I was like listening to certain YouTube channels that was dwelling into the topic or discussing it. That Zack Snyder originally had a 3-part arc or a 5-part arc where it was Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, Man of Steel 2, Justice League Part 2, and then was that 4?
I think...
I think it was 4, and then there was one other movie I think that was going to conclude the whole arc, and then that was it. So, somewhere down the line, when they were making Batman vs. Superman, they had the idea, like, let's try to make our own cinematic universe and just do what we got, you know?
I don't want... to be honest with you, I don't think they should have made a DC cinematic universe.
No, they shouldn't. Because honestly, it's like, dang, y'all going to try to copy Marvel and try to catch up with them, and then only after free freaking films, and then they end up introducing Suicide Squad, which was fucking terrible.
Oh, yeah.
That was worse than Batman vs. Superman.
And Will Smith could not make it any better, even though he's a fantastic actor.
They crammed, edited it. It was horrible. And I haven't watched that movie ever since I saw it.
I saw a little bit of it, but I thought, this is so bad, why would I consider even watching it? And, that's the deal with them. They should have never made a cinematic universe. It just doesn't fit in. No one could really grasp, that quality of the Dark Knight trilogy, especially when you want to bring in that trilogy to a broader universe, You just can't do it. It has to be on par with Christopher Nolan's directing, and on par with the Dark Knight universe, It has to, with the Dark Knight trilogy. It has to, or else it's not going to work. It's just going to decay and degrade.
On par, you mean like try to improve upon?
No. It has to be exactly like the Dark Knight trilogy. The Dark Knight trilogy was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was so good. There's nothing like it. I think that's one of the best movies ever. It's so realistic. And it has its own, not worldview, but...
Well, they try to go to a realistic, somewhat darker approach with the Superman character, which I understood what they were going for, which, Superman cannot save all those people while he's, trying to beat a bad guy. And I'm glad that they did show that, even though it was controversial to some people. It's like, unrealistically, he can't save all those people. He can't really save.
He's only one man.
I mean,
and I think that's another point that needs to be addressed. He can't save all those people that the other series don't do. But nonetheless, I don't know about you, but what'd you think about Man of Steel? Man of Steel wasn't that good.
It wasn't good. Honestly, I watched it in theaters, and I think I watched it 2 other times on DVD, and I haven't really watched it again. The action scenes in it was cool, but it was just action. There was no character development. There was none. And that didn't make me give a shit. I love the visual effects. The fight scenes were cool, but for me, I thought they should have had it in Smallville.
Yeah.
When he was a teenager.
Yeah,
and slowly kind of realized like he has powers. Yeah. He already knows he has powers, but slowly kind of adapts into Smallville. People come in after him, and then do a slow burn on the superhero thing. Make it 3 hours or so.
Make it 3 hours. And the primary character, well, see, that's what I addressed, like Lex Luthor and Brainiac. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Lex Luthor makes these deals with these other villains, But even though he seems like he's in a disadvantageous position where it looks like he's being manipulated by this other villain, it's the other way around. He manipulates them. It should have been... Lex Luthor should have made his debut in Man of Steel. Or they could... I don't know. I think
they should have taken his time. I mean, I would have been fine if they introduced him later on.
Yeah.
I heard I haven't watched Smallville.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't even know that was a Superman show until literally like a couple years ago. I was like, man, that was a Superman show?
It was bad. I'll be honest. There were characters that shouldn't have been there. Like the Titans.
They introduced the Titans.
Yeah, they introduced Cyborg, Kid Flash, and that's it. But the point is, they belong to their own universe. That, by the way, if no one's familiar with the Teen Titans are led by Robin and all these other superhero sidekicks like Speedy, Green Arrow, Wonder Girl, Wonder Woman, what else? Kid Flash, The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty good. And, those, when they introduce those into Smallville, want to make it into a cast for Superman. Aren't there any other superheroes you could think of? I mean, Bruce Wayne, not directly, indirectly in the movie, in the show, and
Bruce Wayne makes a cameo in Smallville.
He should make a cameo. In the comic books, he made a cameo, but it was indirect. Clark Kent was playing baseball with some of his friends. Bruce Wayne was touring across the nation after his parents died, and his car stops down in Smallville. But they don't directly, meet each other. It just shows what kind of perspective, what kind of world. I do believe that they introduced the Legion of Superheroes. That was pretty good, because originally Superman.
Legion of Superheroes?
Yeah. Originally, before Superman became Superman, he joined a legion of superheroes. They were all a bunch of superheroes in the 31st century, and they were just like him. It's people that he can relate to, because they got superpowers too.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was growing up in Smallville, there's nobody like him, So that actually set up some of his, the basis for the history for Superman, and that's pretty good too. And they should have done that instead. They should have focused more on Superboy.
I don't know, and what it should have taken their time with it. What did you think about Superman Returns?
It was bad. It was bad. I'm sorry.
I actually like that one as better as a Superman as a Superman film. I like that better than compared to Man of Steel.
Yeah, much better than Man of Steel. I agree with that. It wasn't super bad. I was just thinking about the bad parts in it with Lex Luthor stealing that kryptonite. I think it was kryptonite or something.
It was
kryptonite, and they just made his character so bad. He was just like this mob boss with henchmen, when in fact he's conniving, deceptive, and manipulative. But nonetheless, he's a very good businessman.
So who do you think should have been Lex Luthor in Batman vs. Superman?
I don't know. Do you have any recommendations?
Well, I keep hearing that the dude who played Lex Luthor in, was it Smallville, whatever show that he was known for, was a good Lex Luthor. I was actually thinking, because I swear to God, when I was watching the Superman the animated series, I thought Lex Luthor was kind of black, because they made his skin kind of tan.
So I thought, real tan.
He was real tan. So I thought he was African American. So I really thought.
I thought the same thing too, but he's actually a white guy.
Yeah,
and it's kind of funny because he's so tan, but nonetheless, it was Lex,
and there was the Super Friends where they had him,
a white guy,
where he was kind of naggy a little bit.
Yeah,
honestly, I was actually thinking Morris Chestnut as Lex Luthor.
I think that would be a better addition. They just have to get the character down. That's the most integral part to Lex Luthor.
Because looking back at the film, I'm sorry, keep interrupting.
He has a huge mythos. You have to actually play him like if he was from the comic books. I think the best depiction of Lex Luthor was in the Justice League series, the animated series, and Superman the animated series. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a good show.
That was a good show. Yeah. It was awesome. I mean, even the writing and everything in it was good. And you get to see the best of Lex Luthor in the shows because he's manipulative, conniving, but nonetheless he's a very good leader. He's got tons of money and shady contacts, with the underground, with the supervillain community. And that's what you have to have in in these movies. You have to get that character. There's so much mythos to this guy that you have to put it in there. There's so much character in him. He's got huge history.
So how do you think Lex Luthor should have been portrayed? I mean,
okay, with Lex Luthor, in my opinion, I think he should have showed up in Superman, the Man of Steel.
The first
one, yeah. And he's making deals with General Zod and his followers. But in the beginning, it should look like he's in a disadvantageous position. Not like he's being forced to do something, but it should look like he's making a bad deal,
Mm-hmm.
But he's really not. He's just manipulating things towards the way he wants them to be behind the scenes. And it should have, Lex Luthor, his hatred for Superman, it's not like, I hate spaghetti, or I hate, music.
It's jealousy. It's like hatred of jealousy.
It's hatred. It's this hate that you can't just describe. It's almost like, it should be like this hatred, like, the racism before segregation. Like, when you had racist people, when they would say against black people, it's like, hate you, like that. That's the way Lex Luthor should be portrayed. He has an intense hatred for Superman. It's almost uncontrollable. It's almost, you can't put it into words. But nonetheless, you get it.
It's a hate for jealousy. It's like, I wish I had that kind of power. Like, I'm the one who's supposed to be, looked upon as like a god or whatever. Like, I wanted to be that kind of a person. Like, why you got that power? Why you got that shit?
Yeah. Well, not only that. Lex Luthor, if he can, he'll look for power. That's one of his main objectives, his goals. He wants ultimate power, so he could rule things in the way he wants it to be. That should also be portrayed in the Superman movie, but it's the hatred of
how he was portrayed.
Did not get it. He should have
no motivation. There was no motivation.
There was
no motivation behind it. It was just there.
Yeah, and it was like, I hate you, like that.
I hated how there's certain things that he does in the movie just annoy me. And every time when I watched it this morning, every time he came on screen, I just cringed like, God.
Yeah, it was bad.
I mean, like the last part where you see him. It's where he ends up meeting Batman in jail, and he suddenly appears. And in the Ultimate Edition, they have a dialogue exchange in there. Yeah. They don't. Batman doesn't just come in, just runs up to him, talks to him, and then punches the wall and disappears. Yeah. There's actually a conversation scene where he's threatened him, like, I'm going to I made arrangements for you to go to Arkham Asylum.
Right.
Like you're crazy. You ain't going anywhere. And he ends up giving him some warning that he ends up summoning some sort of entity that's going to come to Earth eventually. And then he punches the wall. Then he ends up doing something which was completely odd, where he runs up to the cell door, and he puts his head through the door, and he's like, something's coming or whatever, and then he does this ding 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 ding. He's like, ding ding, like, what the hell is he doing? I was thinking he was gonna do a monologue from Lord of the Rings where he was like you're taking the ring to Zion. What the hell? It's like, wait a minute, what? This doesn't feel right as the character. This dude is weird. It just was uncomfortable to watch at times. Yeah.
It looked like he was just a socially awkward person,
Oh, he was. They made him that in the movie. There were scenes in there where he actually was trying to do a speech. Yeah. It was the sequence where Batman and Bruce Wayne meet for the first time as Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. Yeah. And then he was giving out like a speech, and he was trying to give it out, and everybody was looking at him like, this dude's awkward as heck. Yeah. He's like stuttering, and he has like an epiphany or something. He's like staring blindly, and then he ends up kind of like going off stage. And
that's the thing about Lex Luthor. He's always calm. He's not, this deranged, lunatic, socially awkward guy. He's very charismatic, and he always knows what he's doing, even whatever position he is.
They should have more chestnut at this dude. I mean, a lot of people might disagree, but watch Half Past Dead, watch certain other movies that he's done, like The Brothers, and but especially Half Past Dead, and his performance in dang, what's that show? There's a show he did with Sean Penn. I don't remember what it's called, but Legends. Legend. Yeah, he ended up doing that. He would have been almost like the perfect Lex Luthor for me. I mean,
how exactly was that? I mean,
Legends. Yeah. It only lasted for 2 seasons.
No. What type of character did he portray? Because it sounds like he could be Lex Luthor from what I'm describing.
I mean, he sounds like he knows what he's doing. Right. I mean, really, the performance right now I'm really thinking of that he's done is from Half Past Dead, where he infiltrates the Rock, the prison in San Francisco. He already has plans set out when, what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, and holding people hostage to get information out so he could have this guy released, so he could lead him to a treasure that he wants. Right. He's clever. Right. He tries to always stay a step ahead of everybody in the game when he was fighting Steven Seagal. Yeah. And the dude has some sort of, well, I can't say for Lex Luthor wanting to, if he knows how to fight, but he knows how to fight.
Well, he doesn't know how to fight, but he always creates technology that could take down Superman, or he could threaten, Superman's loved ones like Lois Lane. Yeah. But from what you're describing, this guy could be Lex Luthor.
I mean, the guy is also medicine in the film. That's what really got me from his performance. Like, this dude was really good in this, and I think he's an underrated actor to some degree, because he's always been doing like these romantic comedies, and I'm thinking this dude has some range. He could do action. He could do a lot of interesting material if they give him the chance. This dude was like almost 50 something. Yeah. They put him in one kind of category. Yeah. The only other movie I could think of that he's done something different was his standout role, or his breakout role was I think was Boys in the Hood. Right. Yeah. So I think he would have been a really good Lex Luthor if they gave him the chance. Because I heard they're going to try to reboot the thing.
Yeah. It sounds exactly like what Lex Luthor would be. I think they just have to improve a little bit. In Man of Steel, he should have been the one behind the scenes manipulating everything. He makes a deal with General Zod, but General Zod ends up with the short end of the stick, and he's the one who's actually being manipulated by Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor actually takes this technology and uses it towards his own goals. He uses it for his own selfish reasons. The only thing you have to get right with Lex Luthor, you gotta have to show that business side of him, which is really good. He doesn't have to be like a nice guy or a guy that people like a lot. He's just, I don't know how to put it. He should be straight-faced, not straight-faced.
Like a dude, like the dude needs to keep his cool most of the time. Like,
keep his cool.
He doesn't show a bunch of emotion unless things really get agitated with him. He will show some sort of irritation. Well, most of improvement from recent times with the cartoons, because if you go back to Super Friends, he was a little exaggerated.
Yeah, he was exaggerated.
Now, Wonder Woman introducing in the film. How do you think that should have? How do you think that would have
played a role?
You think that should have? She was fine in it because they didn't have her stand out too much until like the end, where she was
on her own movie.
Yeah, basically. I mean until like with Doomsday coming in, or do you think they should have kept her in, or she shouldn't showed up at all? Or
I don't think she should have showed up at all. I think if they really wanted to do that, to begin with, Bruce Wayne is the world's greatest detective, so he should have known who Superman is already from the very beginning. I don't know if they made that clear in the movie.
No. In the extended cut, no. There are certain things that they kind of added, which I kind of like. They added some sort of other actress who was also reported helping Lois Lane figure it out. Actually, it was like Lois Lane who kind of did most of the figuring out of the story-wise about what was going on. And then they had Clark Kent actually do some reporting investigation about trying to figure out who Batman was. Yeah. They actually show a scene of that, and They also show a scene which explains a little bit more with the plot, where one of the guys that Batman took out earlier in the film had some sort of connections with Lex Luthor, which he ends up getting killed in the prison. Yeah. And then supposedly there were some people that he knew in prison that also knew Lex Luthor, which made it a little bit clear that Lex Luthor was pulling strings. Like story wise of what he was trying to do. So it was an improvement for story and pacing, but there were still obstacles in there that really didn't work for me. Like I like Wonder Woman was cool. I think people did freak out in excitement that she finally made an appearance on in feature films, but she didn't need to be in there because it just felt like if it just felt like it was a gateway to let audience know that Justice League is coming.
I think to begin with, I don't think Superman should have died when he was fighting.
That shouldn't have died. I didn't feel anything when he died.
Yeah, and they're playing off a plot line, the death of Superman from the comic books, where Doomsday actually kills him. He's one of the few characters who could actually take on Superman. The other one being Shazam, because his powers are derived from magic, and that's what Superman has. He's vulnerable against.
He was supposed to make a cameo. Wait, can you hold us like this?
Oh yeah.
He was supposed to make a cameo in the film.
Yeah, he was supposed to, but I don't think you should have brought in these extra characters for Superman versus Batman: Dawn of Justice. I think Superman and Batman should have an accordance, kind of an agreement. They understand each other at the end of the film. And that's when they bring in Wonder Woman, because they're friends. In the comic books, they're friends. They're not enemies. They never showed up fighting against each other or anything like that. That's where they got the Marvel cinematic stuff. That's the problem. In the comic books, there's also a future storyline where Bruce Wayne gets exposed as Batman. And the people that are closest to him, like Commissioner Gordon, find out that he's Batman. And they talk to each other regularly and stuff. And Bruce Wayne is really old. He's heading off. He's like in his 60s or 70s. And the problem with that is that in this timeline, in this story, what's his face? Lex Luthor is president. And since Lex Luthor is president, Superman has joined the government and he's working for them now. And this is also during the Cold Era. And he shows up to intervene in Gotham where Batman has just messed up everything. And he shows up to fight him because he won't desist from being Batman. He just wants him to go back so he could stop causing trouble. And that's a really good story arc. And that's where they got this idea for Superman versus Batman: Dawn of Justice. And that's where they also got Ben Affleck having gray hair. And that's what they should have done, is gone with their own mix. They should have picked up the Dark Knight trilogy. And if they really wanted to make this thing work, Batman should already know who Superman is. They shouldn't have necessarily fought each other. They should have fought another enemy. You know what I'm saying? They meet each other.
Well, they do fight each other in comic books, right?
Sometimes it depends. It depends.
What was the reasons in the comic book compared to the one that they decided to go with in the movie? Because honestly, the one they decided to go with the movie, I didn't find it dumb. I thought it was actually, I could see a reason for Batman wanting to go after Superman for something like that. Yeah. For his event that took place in Man of Steel, which took down another Wayne Tower that killed a lot of people that Bruce Wayne knew who worked for him. Died, and then 2 months later, he's been slowly building up the grudge, figuring out a way to try to
take down
Superman. I could see that would be a good reason why he would want to go after him. What would be? Another reason. My brother ended up showing me one of the DC animation movies. Right. It was. I think it was the Dark Knight something. It was like
the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, it was called that. Yeah, where Batman was really old. He did have the suit. Yeah, and Superman was working for the government.
Yes, that's it. That's what I was talking about. He's working for the government. He's working specifically for Lex Luthor. But no, I thought they should have brought in a villain that they could all fight against. that they have to fight against. Not like the Justice League movie, because the Justice League movie was just so bad. They're trying to cram things and speed things up as fast as they can by introducing Darkseid.
Originally, that movie was supposed to be 3 hours long.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Could you just imagine a movie
And since Zack Snyder, her studios didn't really care. Oh, so you heard all that?
I didn't hear it. Keep on going.
Oh, supposedly Zack Snyder's vision.
Yeah.
You know, he likes to take like a dark approach on superhero genres.
Yeah.
Originally, his cut was 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And he already finished certain things about the film before dealing with a family tragedy.
Yeah.
When he was screening that to the studios, I heard they didn't like the film because they didn't like certain ways the characters were portrayed. Like I heard Aquaman was an alcoholic. I heard one character was suicidal. Might have been Batman.
It might have been
or somebody else.
Cyborg.
Cyborg might have been suicidal
because he's half machine. Yeah.
And there were certain, I guess, things that happened in the movie that just. Honestly, it sounded better compared to what we got now.
Yeah.
And studios didn't like that version, so they ended up refilming it.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder was away dealing with stuff, and they used his excuse to go away and deal with his family issues.
Yeah.
To have the film reshot by Avengers director Joss Whedon.
Oh. Yeah, geez.
And we got what we got with this, which I could obviously see. And I heard originally, Superman wasn't even supposed to be in the movie, and then they end up having. I think studios wanted him to be in the movie. Yeah, and I've seen snippets of him wearing the black suit, which that's nowhere to be found or mentioned anywhere online whatsoever.
Yeah, so they crammed a bunch of story arcs together, and they try to pass it off. But essentially, the black suit Superman is, I think it's when he's
like goes evil, right?
No, he doesn't go evil. He just changed his suit. This is after he gets killed by.
Really? Because I thought I was always told that when he's with the suit, the black suit, he turns evil.
I think that might be the case, but yeah, that might be the case. He turns evil. I think he was under the control of Darkseid. That's what they try to bring up. That's why they brought up Steppenwolf. And to begin with, I mean, that movie was just so bad.
It was not great. I felt like it's a disposable superhero film, which it made its money, but didn't do too great to expectations according to their box office. That the movie just was over a barge with CGI. Yeah. Which honestly, that's basically every Avenger movie.
Yeah. That is true. That is true.
They changed the tone. What really took me surprised, and I was really disappointed, was the tone. I like the dark tone in Batman vs Superman. That's what really got me into it. Like, I like how dark this was going, because when that dream sequence you see Batman killing people, I was like, whoa! I was shocked. I was actually, this is a great take, and people didn't like that take.
I think the take was they're parademons. So they're not generally people. They're kind of like these monsters, kind of like the orcs are.
You know what scene I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, where he sees into the future, and he's all these people. It's a wasteland, and then the Flash shows up, and he tells them some message.
That part they should have been that.
They should have been out.
Yeah, that part should have been out.
He should have figured things out on his own.
And then the thing is, they made that part of a dream scene.
Yeah, actually, that should have. That should have foreshadowed for the future installment for down the road, like Justice League. This all right, Batman has his dream. He figures out what it means, but he's not going to deal with it directly yet. He's just going to deal with it off scene, and behind the off scene, And he should fight the villains that are coming up. I think what should have united Superman and Batman is a villain that they have in common that's affecting them both. And that Batman is hunting down, because that would make more sense, right? A villain that he knows could cause a lot of trouble, and he shows up in Metropolis, and this is where he meets Superman, and they have their dialogue with each other. They respect each other because they're both superheroes and they know what they do. But in this dialogue, Batman's got the upper hand because he knows who Superman is. It's like, I know who you are. Because he's the world's greatest detective.
So how would you? I mean, So what would have been the conflict Batman versus Batman would have to fight Superman for them to have that clash? If they were to do it, if they were to redo it, or if you were given the chance to redo the film, what would be the excuse for Batman and Superman fighting each other?
I think it's where Superman becomes mind controlled. I think he gets brainwashed, kind of like in the Superman animated series. He has to fight him because he's the world's strongest superhero, and he poses a threat. If he becomes brainwashed or mind controlled by somebody else, you're gonna have to take him out. And Batman should have all these backup plans, and just in case these what if scenarios. He's already got it down. So what happens if Superman becomes mind controlled or brainwashed or turns evil? Well, Batman's got a plan. He's gonna take him down, and he's gonna take him down hard. Because that's just the way he is. He doesn't trust anybody. He's kind of paranoid.
Wow. Okay, that's wow. I didn't realize he gets control. Why does he get control? What was the reason? Is it during when Lex Luthor was president, or is it somewhere where it's just another scheme that he ends up doing in the when Superman gets controlled?
When Superman gets controlled, it's usually by Darkseid. So this time, what happens, he shows up in Apocalypse instead of Earth. And Darkseid is one of the greatest DCU villains. He's actually the biggest bad guy ever in the DCU. No one comes near him in terms of evilness or power. He's the worst. So that's what they should have done, where he gets brainwashed and he works for Darkseid.
Do you know, thinking this now, and supposedly that symbol, there's a symbol in the dream sequence in Batman vs. Superman where they supposedly show the symbol, I guess that's Darkseid symbol that was imprinted on the ground. And Superman comes in. Is that supposedly like an idea where he's controlled? Do you know, I bet they're not going to reference that dream in it. No, they are not going to reference that in any future movies at all.
No, but they should have set it up anyways, because you could make movies based off that. You could have made, like I said, what I've been saying all along, Superman meets Batman and Batman meets Superman. And they're not enemies towards each other. They're working together to bring down this common supervillain that they have in common with each other. And I think it shouldn't be anywhere near Avengers. This is not the Avengers. It shouldn't be copying them at all.
What do you think of that Martha scene?
Oh, that was that doesn't make sense.
It's like, wait, your mama's name is Martha. My mama's name Martha. You human? Oh gosh, man, I feel stupid.
You're not a human. You're like a humanoid super being, but
shoot, we should be friends.
No way, bro. It's like a bro scene right there. But that Martha scene should have been cut off. I think they should have had this is what I'm advocating for, because this actually could be good, and it could be a future installment. You could pick up from the Dark Knight trilogy. You're gonna have to remake the Superman movie, by the way, because Man of Steel was not good.
Well, the guy who plays him is not doing it anymore. Henry Cavill. Yeah. He's not doing it. So, supposedly the issue there was that he's been demanding for another sequel to that movie.
Yeah.
And Warner Bros. Aren't giving it to him, and now I heard they're gonna do a all-female cast for superheroes coming out, which I'm all favor with diversity. They're already planning on having the Michael B. Jordan, you know who that is? Yeah, to play Superman.
To play Superman? I don't know who Michael B. Jordan is.
You seen Black Panther?
Yeah, I've seen Michael.
He's Killmonger.
Killmonger? I think with that,
and and I've seen. Actually, I just discovered this yesterday. There are African American or African Superman, but it's in like different different dimensions. Yeah, Steel, and there's like 3-4 other ones.
And on parallel Earths. So they're parallel Earths. There's a Sunshine Superman. This is in the comic books, and recently they did a comic book where it's called Multiversity, and in it you have Black Superman. He's the president of the U.S. He's like Barack Obama. I'm not a big fan.
I heard.
Yeah. And then there's the Sunshine Superman. I kind of like the Sunshine Superman because he's got the afro, and I thought that looked cool. But it was funny, but it was awesome. It was awesome too because he got an afro, man. I mean, I wish I had an afro like that. And the other one, they also have another character from another parallel Earth where he is black. He showed up. He was raised by his parents in Kentucky, but not Smallville, and not by Ma and Pa Kent, and that's really good. But no, I think for the guy who played Killmonger, he could be Steel. Steel.
Maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they're just gonna go with another different version of any of the Supermans that mentioned earlier.
They're gonna expand his cast. I like Steel personally. He's one of the best.
Yeah, I like Steel too. Like I remember having a toy of him. They didn't really have him in any cartoons.
Yeah.
Except for that terrible live action movie with Shaquille O'Neal as the character.
Oh, that's funny. 7 foot tall, and he's Steel. Steel's not that tall, but Shaquille O'Neal as Steel? I don't think so.
No. But do you remember the movie though? Right?
I don't remember it.
There's a movie back in 1990s with Shaq, and there's a scene where he shows he has the Superman tattoo on his arm. It's that's him. That's the character, but where he's covered in terrible
tattoos,
terrible armor.
Oh yeah,
and he got a hammer that has lasers that shoot out of it.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Oh man, I remember my brother would show us that movie to me. He would think it's awesome, but looking back, like, God damn, this movie was shit.
Stuff was bad, like that's what when you rewatch it again, like the Avengers, I watched it a second time and I thought to myself, this is a really bad movie, because you've heard of the Ultimates, right? I've told
you told me about the Ultimates.
The Ultimates are cool. In it's like this parallel universe where, well, it's not a universe, it's actually a dimension. I'm just being correct. Okay. But anyways, it's this parallel universe where Captain America's frozen in ice. It's not like the Avengers where they meet up with each other, but it's like this real life scenario where what if the government started employing superheroes, but they're not superheroes, they work for the government, they're more like super soldiers, and it's pretty good. In it, they have doubts that Thor is actually a god. He's just a schizophrenic patient who stole this experimental technology and he became Thor. So they think his hammer and his belt is this advanced technology that they were working on that could manipulate weather and stuff and give them wear super strength. And that's pretty good. It's so good. I really recommend it. I recommend it for any future Avengers installments. And the first villain that they face is the Hulk. And the public is unaware that the Hulk is actually Bruce Banner, so they keep him locked up at the Triskelion. It's the headquarters of the Avengers. Not the Avengers, the Ultimates. And it's this government sanctioned military base, and that would make a fantastic movie, just because you get to see what would happen if the Avengers were actually real. It's more realistic. Instead of having Loki flying a space scooter, or what is it that he was flying with?
He was flying. I mean, in the Avengers, it was some sort of robot, kind of like chariot or something.
A chariot. I don't know. I don't want to make it sound cool because it wasn't cool. I thought Loki is a god. He should be able to play with reality.
So you didn't like Joss Whedon's take on the Avengers?
No, I did not like it.
Who do you think? What about Bryan Singer, who's been directing the X-Men films? Do you like any of those movies?
I think I did like it.
X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past was good. That was good. That was really good. It just shows you like Magneto. It's kind of scary, because he goes power mad, and he starts trying to extinguish all human beings out, snuff us out, and it's really good the way they retaliate. The government retaliates. That's fantastic. With the military guy, remember, him?
Military guy. Which military guy?
The one who's a villain in there.
Oh, you mean Trask?
Yeah, Trask. Simon Trask. And it was so good. It played up to the expectations I was hoping for. What happens when you deal with these group of individuals who want to snuff out humanity, and they say they're superior to us? What do you do? And it's almost like that. It's kind of like the Watchmen too, in a certain sense.
Honestly, I love the Watchmen.
I haven't seen it yet.
The movie?
Yeah.
Dude, I got the movie, dude. I got the ultimate edition.
All right.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
And it's like that when at the end they reveal what's going on. Did that giant squid happen to show up at the end of the movie?
In Watchmen?
Yeah.
No, they changed it to a bomb where they manifest Dr. Manhattan's power and they blow it up in New York.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Dude, you gotta watch the movie, dude.
I gotta watch the movie.
Dude,
I'll watch it on YouTube. But anyways, it should be like that oh shit moment. Well, what do? We're gonna have to take this guy down, and that has consequences for all mutants everywhere. Not all mutants are bad, like the X-Men. And you know, that was just good. They retaliate by trying to take down all the mutants, and then incarcerating them or just eviscerating them, getting rid of them. That was fantastic. And then when they did Apocalypse, I thought Apocalypse...
X-Men Apocalypse in the movie?
Yeah. X-Men Apocalypse, in the comic books, Apocalypse has all the powers of any mutant. I think they should have expanded on that a little bit better.
So did you like the movie overall, or did you...
I haven't seen it yet, but I liked it.
You haven't seen the X-Men Apocalypse movie?
I have not seen it. Not yet.
Oh, okay. I'm curious what your opinion is going to be on it. Because, okay, I'll tell you a brief summary. Because I bought the movie. Actually, my lady got the movie for me.
Yeah.
They kind of they take a lot of time. Yeah. They take a lot of time introducing Apocalypse, so they kind of make him the center of the main focus of the story. You seen Infinity War, right?
I've seen Infinity War.
Okay, think to that as like it is to Infinity War, where it's more of the main villain story.
Yeah.
And do you see him really using any other power from any of the mutants? No, not really. Not really. He doesn't. But they do have. They do take its time introducing the newer characters. Odor, Scott, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm gets mind controlled. A couple other. Who's the hero with the wings?
Angel.
They end up having Angel. They end up changing his wings to metal.
Yeah.
And
Horseman of Apocalypse.
Yeah. And there's a girl with purple hair with the
Psylocke.
Yeah. She ends up joining the Four of Apocalypse, and so does Magneto.
Yeah.
Magneto has a family. This is a spoiler. His family end up dying.
Yeah.
So he ends up going on a grief leave with. Joining Apocalypse. So they take a lot of time introducing Apocalypse in that fact, which honestly the movie, I think it's kind of bold for what it does, but it's also slow when it reaches to the conflict with the X-Men finally encountering them. Like you don't get that until like the hour, like a little over hour and a half until they finally encounter him and then deal with him. And then Hugh Jackman does have a cameo.
Right.
As Weapon X.
So
he goes crazy.
Right.
And then he runs out of the movie. You don't see him again. And then they had the whole conflict. But they do introduce Quicksilver back in, which it does top the scene a little bit. The scene where he's running the sequence in Days of Future Past, where he rescues all the mutants in the mansion.
Right.
Well, all but one, but I'll wait for you to watch the movie. And then they have something which I will review the movie on my YouTube channel, because I think it is a great underrated superhero film. Even though there are certain things in there that does happen which I don't like, especially one particular scene which was cliche as hell.
Yeah.
You remember those? You know those scenes where you want to tell a main character that you are related to them, or that you are like that you have a personal connection with them, but they don't reveal it, and they say, you know what, I'll just kind of keep it on the sidelines for them to figure it out, or I just want to reveal it to them at all. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They pull that damn card in the movie where Quicksilver is Magneto's father.
Right. Well,
they do that in the movie. Wait, what were we gonna say?
The comic books does pick up on that. So essentially, Magneto used to have a family, and he was married with a gypsy, and he had Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. And the thing is, this Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were originally parts of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants in the beginning. And they didn't know Magneto was his father. They found that out until much later, and then they joined the Avengers. But nonetheless, in that, they don't know that, because essentially what his mother did is he gave them away to this other guy. In the comic books, this guy becomes I forgot what his name was, but the High Evolutionary. Mm-hmm. So what happened? He took them under his care, and he figured out that they were mutants because they were displaying these powers. And he started, coming up with his ideas on evolution and all this other stuff, and he became the High Evolution. I have my own personal arc on it. Not all personal arc, but idea where it could be retcon and it could work really well. But he figures that out, and he's obsessed with species and all this other stuff.
Yeah, because there's a scene in there where Quicksilver is on the verge of telling him,
right.
but he chooses not to.
Right.
During circumstances where they're trying to defeat Apocalypse, and then in the ending, the conclusion of the movie, he decides not to tell him. It's like, that is cliche as hell.
Oh yeah,
that is cliche as hell. Like, why'd you go that route? And I hated that. That almost ruined the movie for me, because it would have been a lot more interesting if they decide to explore that gave Magneto some hope that he is still relevant, his species is still relevant, because
his
family dies in Apocalypse,
and he thinks that his family that died is gone. He has a son. That should have been played on. Quicksilver should have joined his dad, because he originally in the comic books he's part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Then he becomes part of the Avengers, and that's what they should have done in this movie. I think
Well, their rights weren't acquired by Marvel, so but now since they're going to try to
bring it up.
Well, I don't think they are, because they already introduced Quicksilver. They borrowed Quicksilver for Avengers Age of Ultron, and then they killed him off because they only use him in that movie.
Right.
Because 20th Century Fox still own him, but since they do have him now, I guess they could, since this next Avengers movie is going to be like going through time, so they could bring him back.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it now, and use him for future installments, and have the X-Men pick up him and Scarlet Witch and see where that goes. I mean, that's just a thought that they could pull off.
Yeah.
Which they would still kill off certain main characters that's been driving the franchise for 10 years now.
Yeah. I want to add to that. They should have done that, but the X-Men films are really good.
Well, yeah, most of them are. Half of them are. I wasn't big on X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, no, me neither.
X-Men the Wolverine were Logan's Superman. I thought it was good. Logan's one of the best X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Even though there's some things they could have been better on improving the promo on the movie, I still loved it.
Yeah.
X-Men 3 was the best X-Men movie is X-Men Days of Future Past. As an X-Men movie.
Yeah, as an X-Men movie, that was the best one. I thought that, that they should bring that into Marvel, but I could already see where Joss Whedon just makes, a mockery of it. Just he destroys it. The integrity of it is so good, right? You get this quality picture where it has a good plot line, good dialogue. It was awesome. But then, could just imagine Marvel acquiring that. They're going to try to fit it in with the rest of the Avengers.
So you think Bryan Singer should have made the Avengers, or they should have had somebody else do it? There's also Peter Jackson, who's done the Lord of the Rings. There's also another good director who's kind of done a big budget franchise.
Christopher Nolan.
I don't think he's gonna do that,
because
he's more reliant on practical effects. There's no way he's gonna want to
do a
CGI field based movie.
Right.
I would say Zack Snyder, but he can't. He likes his movies dark, so
yeah.
His best movie so far to me is Watchmen.
Yeah.
What's another? Well, those two filmmakers are the ones I could think of right now. Yeah. I would say Steven Spielberg, but he's not going to get involved.
No.
So back to Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Do you think the movie was better off being as dark tone as it was? Because there are people out there who are criticizing the movie for being as dark for what it was.
It was dark. I didn't like the dark aspect, to be honest.
I like the dark tone. I thought it was different. Compared to Marvel, I thought it was. And I honestly thought it was kind of. I always kind of thought the DC's approach for superheroes was darker compared to. Darker. Yeah, so I thought it fit. I thought it fit the
bill right.
The bill right. It felt like it was needed to be darker because I didn't want a superhero film or a franchise that they were going to do that was going to be pretty much similar to Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it would have honestly it would have, to me, it would have ruined everything, which it is ruining it, because that's what they're going to do with Aquaman and then Shazam, which I am not really enthusiastic to see either of those movies.
That actually makes me cringe. I feel like I just I want to cringe and just slouch off.
And that's why I bought Batman vs Superman, because I do appreciate the darker tone, which made me rethink the movie more. Because I feel like the themes they tackle on in DC is for like godlikes and like the Injustice games and certain comic books. I mean, I haven't read all the comic books. I mean, where it just feels more theme driven. Darker themes where they describe on,
especially in the Batman comic books. Those are the darkest one. I don't know what your opinion is on the Dark Knight trilogy, but it was pretty dark
with Christopher Nolan. It was one of the best superhero franchises ever. But I do think the Dark Knight Rises has issues. I mean, I think it's my least favorite one out of the three.
I liked it, but I agree with you. Out of the three, it was. I don't think they should have had Bane, but it was just so good. I mean, it was. But for the character of Bane, he should have had more development. He should have been developed.
Yeah, Bane was fine. They crammed. I thought they crammed. Stuff in there. Even though the movie was long as hell, they still crammed certain things in there, which it didn't feel like a great time. Like, supposedly when they take over Gotham, supposedly time has passed since then. Supposedly, I don't know, it's been months, or weeks or months. I think it's been months, and it's really, Gotham hasn't really looked worse. I mean, it looks the same. Things should have been much more grittier and dirtier, and they didn't really do anything of that, which was kind of like, that's a big continuity error for me. And people still are baffled until this day. The movie's 6 years old now. How did Bruce Wayne just quickly come back to Gotham after he just got out of there, like out of that prison? Like, how the hell did he just come back? I mean,
and especially since the prisoners were all urging him to do so, that was kind of funny.
And the dude didn't look all that damn dirty when he came back and met whoever he did. Cause this has been a while since I watched the movie. I only go back and put the movie in to watch that fight scene with Bane where he loses, and I thought that's one of the best fight scenes in movies history, because it was, you don't ever see a twist like that rarely, where you see a superhero who's just getting his butt whipped by a super villain just falling down like that.
Actually, in the comics,
and it's kind of hard to watch at times. You just see him fall like that.
Actually, that's one of the greatest things. But see, the thing with Batman The Dark Knight Rises is that it was crammed too fast. It was too fast, too soon. They had to take their time developing the character of Bane a little bit more. But nonetheless, the rest of the scenes were good with Selena Kyle. I mean, not Selena Kyle, not Jennifer Aniston.
You mean
Anne Hathaway?
Selena Kyle. That's her character.
Selena Kyle. It was good as Catwoman. That was awesome, because Catwoman in the comics always gives Batman the slip until she turned to good and became a good guy. But nonetheless, they just cannot cram it so much. You gotta take it step by step to develop it a little bit more. Because Bane in the comic books beats Batman. He cracks his back in half. And Batman's just a tough motherfucker. I mean, you could see how tough he is. He's still doing the Batman thing, even though his back has just been cracked in half. He goes, boom! And you see it in the comic books where he meets this guy that he needs some information from, because he's still doing his job as Batman. And what he did is he strapped himself to a pole to make it look like he's standing up, because he can't stand up on his own anymore.
Yeah, so supposedly when he did that, it's supposed to realign his back and kind of pop it back in. And
you can't pop it back in. I mean, the vertebra, the spinal cord has just been cracked. It's like getting in a car accident, and then you had a couple of vertebrae displaced.
So he had to get surgery or something.
He had to get surgery.
In the movie, he just popped that sucker back in by doing that, and he was able to.
Yeah, that's kind of sucked. I think it should have showed some resolve, where he's still, he's still Batman. He's still trying to do this thing as Batman, but he just can't do it. It's like, hey, take a break. You just had your back broken. Take a break, seriously. And that's one of the most defining points of that character's history. There's a couple more, like the death of Jason Todd, who was one of the Robins, and he was killed by the Joker. But yeah, that's what.
I actually like that they include that reference in Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Joker making fun of him for it.
Yeah, and how'd you feel about Alfred, who played Alfred in Batman vs Superman?
That was terrible. I thought
you didn't like it?
I didn't like it. What about you?
So actually, I liked him better than. Actually, no, I liked him in there. I thought he was cool. I don't get the hate with Ben Affleck, as
Yeah.
because you never think he could do it. I thought he pulled it off. I thought he nailed being Batman. I just felt he was pressured on trying to make a good movie.
Yeah.
That nobody really gave him the chance to do it, and it burnt him out. He's like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So he's out as Batman.
Yeah.
And he's been wanting out because he just couldn't handle the pressure of being it.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to do like they're still trying to figure out the Batman movie.
Yeah. Right.
And honestly, when I first saw Justice League, the Batman vs Superman, there was more Batman than it was with Superman. And the extended cut fixed that a little bit. It made it feel like they both have even screen time.
Yeah.
They should have made a Batman movie.
Yeah,
they should have just made a Batman movie. I mean, how dark it was, it felt more toned to Batman than it was with Superman. And like I said, I love the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
It just, they were just choices in the film that was just horrible.
Yeah. Just
to cram for a Justice League movie. And, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And it's safe to say, I mean, the only successful one they had was Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman was a good movie.
Yeah, it was. And she took on Ares. I think they should have kept Ares still. Like, the DC universe writes their gods so well. This is why I'm so critical of Marvel, is because DC writes their superheroes, their gods really well. I think it's fantastic. It's
they represent their heroes from like gods or something. I can't speak for Green Lantern, but they put that godlike theme in DC, which makes it darker and much more mature than Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel, I just can't
figure it out
with it. I mean,
it's like, are they
more fanish?
Yeah, and it's like with Marvel's gods. That's why I'm critical of them. What are they? Are they aliens, or are they gods? And so it turns out that they're aliens, which is kind of stupid once you think about it. I mean, it should have been gods. With Thor, he should have been Donald Blake, or they should have gone the route with the Ultimates, where it's they're employed by S.H.I.E.L.D., this high organization that's like the CIA, but it's not.
Do you think they're ever going to go do an Ultimates movie?
I think they will once they retcon the Avengers. They're gonna but it's gonna be a while before they do that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long time.
But it's gonna be a long time. It possibly past my
maybe like 10 years or something.
10 years, or I don't know, 50 years, maybe after I die or something.
I don't know if they're gonna do it that long. I mean, who knows? I mean, they might keep doing superhero movies, which I think Marvel Studios is staying.
Yeah.
For a long time, because there's so many stories you can tell with DC. With Marvel.
Yeah.
So I think, if I have to say where the Ultimates will ever show up, because I mean, it's going to get time where you keep hearing Avengers. So eventually, after this, after the next brand of Avengers, whoever's that's going to be with Black Panther, whenever they bring people back from the dead, which honestly I thought that was less bold on their part. They should have go ahead and killed Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and all those other people who've been in the franchise for 10 years in Avengers Infinity War Part 1. And then go ahead and have the other other heroes who've been introduced, figure out what to do while battling Thanos in Part 2. Yeah. Because you're just going to be bringing them back. I mean, what the hell? Like,
they're not really dead. And, they got their own movies to deal with. Because, there's going to be a Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. See, yes. And I think that's the best Avengers movies that they've done.
Yeah.
But if you're going to bring them back, that loosens the emotional impact I had with these characters, them dying, and you're going to bring them back. It's like, what was the point of all that? Like, you should have just killed
Iron Man,
Captain America, Thor,
yeah,
and well, maybe some members of Guardians of the Galaxy, but
not many.
Well, not many. I mean,
actually, I think Drax should get his debut or this defining moment when he kills Thanos.
Actually, I don't know, because Dave Bautista has been local supporting James Gunn with.
Yeah.
From what you've heard, you heard about what's going on with James Gunn, right?
Oh yeah, he got caught for that pedophilia.
Yeah. So
that's creepy.
Yeah, so Dave Bautista has been supporting him because he believes he's still a good guy.
Yeah.
And he's called out like, hey, if you get rid of him, which they have, they're not gonna hire him back.
Yeah.
That he does not want to be involved in playing his character Drax anymore.
Oh, geez.
So if that's really the case,
yeah,
and I don't think they've include him, because it's made it sound like he hasn't even filmed any parts of his scenes for the part 4 eventually supposedly it could be called Avengers Endgame.
Yeah,
that he doesn't want to be a part of it. It's like, go ahead and no. So what they might do is that they either might do two things: have him come back CGI form if Dave Bautista still refuses, and have him die again, or have him die in another movie, or they're gonna come up with some sort of way where he just didn't come back.
I think you're gonna see, that's the problem. You can't get rid of the cast anymore. Like,
you can get rid of the directors, you can't,
but you can get rid of the directors. But if you don't have the original actor for that, that's gonna just throw things off.
Because if David Peace's not coming back, they're not gonna probably have him come back in in Avengers 4. Yeah. So they're gonna kind of come up with some sort of rule. I mean, it'd be stupid where they bring him back and then they kill him again.
And they kill him again. They do the same thing again.
It's like, that didn't work. They should have just have him stay dead or something.
Yeah, they should still have him dead, or come up with a reason why he's still dead. That's what they should do.
So back to Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice, like I said, that future scene, like you said, with Batman, further ahead in the future, they could have planned so many movies just from that. From Dawn of Justice to Justice League. I feel like, after so this is my point. This is what I'm advocating for. After they defeat that one villain that they have in common, that Batman follows all the way from Gotham City to Metropolis, where he meets Clark Kent. And I'm not saying they get off on a good tune, like, hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing? No, like, there's still there's this type of tension where they're still against each other. They don't like each other's methods, and nonetheless, they're gonna have to work together to take down the supervillain. And Lex Luthor is behind it all. And then they should set up, both of them introduce, Wonder Woman to each other. It's like, I brought someone else along that you should meet. And, that would have set up the Justice League movie so well, because now all these other characters are coming in. I'm not saying like an introduction, like, oh, hey, I brought over the Flash, like your buddy, like that. No, they just make their scenes later on, Okay,
so in the order of setting up the DC cinematic universe, or whatever it's called, the ECU, whatever, how many films that should have partake before doing a Justice League movie in your order?
Okay.
Since Man of Steel and Wonder Woman are already out.
Yeah. That's kind of hard to say, because I have a lot of ideas of the way it should have been done, but definitely not after this meeting between Superman and Batman. Not the time to bring in the Justice League just yet. You still have time to make another Batman movie, or make another Superman movie. And that it's gonna, and with these two movies, they help broaden up the DCU. You know what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. And the Wonder Woman movie as well. You get where she's coming from. You get who her villains are, and that it will not magnifies. It enlarges a DC universe. So you're gonna see all these other characters that you've never seen before. I think that's what they should have done.
Well, Well, we all know what it what it turned out to. I mean, it's like, dang, 10 years or 8 years in, Marvel doing their thing. We got DC characters. Let's do our thing. Yeah. And supposedly the disconnect was Zack Snyder never had the intentions of doing a cinematic universe. He had an arc. He had a 5-part arc he was going to do, and that was it. And then DC decided let's make this into a cinematic universe. Let's do it.
They could have done it.
And they fired him. They fired Zack Snyder because they didn't like the way he was kind of going. Right. And I disagree on his choices and some of them in the movie, but I don't like the change of direction. It's going that it should be darker. I think because it's much more mature. Yeah. And I believe they're making a big mistake by going in the direction that they are. Which it's just honestly, if that's the case, I am not looking for the only superhero movies I'm looking forward to for next year. Yeah. Is Avengers Part 4, of course. Yeah. And this has no connections to any of the DC or Marvel movies whatsoever, but it is a superhero film. Right. Glass. Right. Have you heard of Glass?
I've never heard of it.
Have you heard of Unbreakable?
I have not.
Or Split?
I haven't.
Okay. I would recommend you watch those movies. It's a realistic portrayal of and you could continuity the heck out of it if you like. But I was trying to explain to some dude, trying to convince him to watch it. But it's a series of like horror drama like related superhero genre films. Yeah, where it's about a man who discovers he actually has the powers of being a superhero. Yeah, and he meets a man who's very weak. Yeah, where he has weak bones and he breaks easily, where his philosophy is that could be somewhere out there where the idea where there's somebody out there who's complete opposite of you that like an anti Ruben. Like a hero could be a friend, could be friends with a villain if that were the case. So he goes out and finds this guy, which is Bruce Willis, who is actually a superhero, who believes he is a superhero because Bruce Willis feels like he's always feels like he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, but he's like in doing things like he works as security. He is super strong. He's able to bend metal, but he's not like super strong like Superman, but he's strong. Yeah. And he is weak. His weakness is water. Right.
Jeez, I wonder how he's gonna be able to drink water when he needs.
So he feels weak when he takes showers and drinks. It was like, okay, I'm a little weak now. It's like
probably smells bad too. I mean, no water weakness.
Samuel Jackson's in it. He plays the villain, Glass, who's actually been looking for him with the fragile bones. And I guess his goal, he's just really philosophical and really smart. He convinces Bruce Willis is that he is a superhero. Yeah. And he actually goes out and rescues some people and actually does it and feels like he has a purpose. And then when he finds out that it was Samuel Jackson's character, Elijah Price, who's Mr. Glass, has set up various disasters around the world to figure out if there's going to be anybody who's going to walk out of there alive. Yeah. And that's crazy to actually do that. Right. Which he finally achieved his goal. Yeah. Gets locked away in asylum. Then 18 years later, or 16 years later, we have another movie come out called Split, where there's a dude who has 27 personalities, and one of them is like some sort of like man-beast monster, where his form doesn't really change. Yeah. But he does get super strong and does act like a beast-like animal. Right. Yeah, and he.
I wouldn't mind having those superpowers.
He does have a weakness. You say his real name, and it knocks him back out to his original personality. Yeah. But it goes back in when so it doesn't last long. Right. So So those two movies were there, and then we have this other movie where it's going to have all those three characters colliding in Glass, which it is a movie testing the ideology of superheroes. The superheroes were actually real. Yeah. What would they do in the real world, and how it would have be gone about it. Yeah.
That's actually pretty good. Actually, that reminds me, the Glass reminds me of a character in the Ultimate Universe. He was a mentor of Bruce Banner, and he essentially has the superpowers of the Hulk. And it was a pretty good arc. He became a drug dealer, you know, he's got so much money, etc., so on and so forth. But I think that's a pretty good concept that you got, a pretty good idea that you got there. Talking about Dawn of Justice, I think that what leads Batman to Metropolis should be like this minor character that's connected to Lex Luthor, you know? And with that, they have to take Luthor down, you know? They're figuring out what he's doing, what he's smuggling, whatever it is that he's doing, and that same conniving, professional business type tycoon that he is. That would be very, 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 very good. And I think that's what they should have done with Dawn of Justice. They shouldn't have them fighting directly yet, but I think they should have them fighting later down the line. And for a good reason. I don't know, Superman becomes mind controlled by Darkseid. That would have been good, you know. And that's after the formation of the Justice League. That goes back to the vision that Batman had. Because when they introduced Steppenwolf, it was too soon, too quick.
Oh man, yeah, people complain about him. Like, dude, this dude is CGI as hell. Everybody hated it. Hated when they brought him.
Yeah,
I didn't know about Steppenwolf. Honestly, I heard he's brothers with Darkseid.
He's his uncle. In the comics book, he's his uncle.
Darkseid is his uncle?
No, Steppenwolf is his uncle.
Oh, who's the father?
This old god named Yuga Khan, but you know, it's like you got a Mongolian name. Can't you come up with something better than Yuga Khan? I mean, make it the name of a godling, you know, like learn something like in another language, not another language. Do something with mythology. For that, I would have made it like Ymir, the giant from Norse mythology, and I would have had made him Darkseid's dad, going with the continuity. And you know, Darkseid's not a full godling; he's a kind of demigod. You know, he's got his weaknesses. There's some things he can't do. And, you know, when they brought in Steppenwolf, it was too quick, too soon. They were trying to explore the origins of the DCU, which was kind of stupid because they brought in the Green Lantern Corps, and we didn't even get to see...
Oh, yeah, originally that Green Lantern movie was supposed to start it all, but they saw, you know, people didn't like it as much, and it was hated. And
yeah, I hated it.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was not good at all.
It was not good. With that Green Lantern, you didn't even get to see him to use their powers to the fullest extent. You only saw like a giant hand.
I don't remember that movie that much. I just know I didn't like it, and it just needed a reboot.
Yeah, it needed a reboot. And you know, the Greek gods with the Green Lantern Corps and the Amazons, that was kind of stupid. And oh wait, the Atlanteans too. What they should have done is that they should have had the Greek gods stay out of it. No Greek gods, no Amazons. Just the Green Lantern Corps, and that's before Steppenwolf even gets to Earth. They stop him somewhere else on another planet.
Who you thought should have been the villain in Justice League?
Justice League.
And for me to like this movie would need to be like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
With the darker tone. With Zack Snyder's, you know.
Yeah.
What would be the villain? And Superman didn't die. What would be the villain in Justice League?
In Justice League, you know, before the formation of the team, so like I said, with the three movies that you got your three core movies. You got Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, and they're gonna explore the rest of the DC universe. It's gonna expand it.
Wait. Do you think they should have do standalone movies for those other characters before the Justice League, or do you think they should have go ahead and introduce the characters in the Justice League movie and
in Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman?
With those characters, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman already having their own standalone films, do you think the other characters that were introduced, such as the Flash, Cyborg, and if you want, maybe if you do want to include Green Lantern, perhaps, do you think they should have had their own standalone movies first before doing the Justice League, or do you think after Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman have their own standalone films, they go ahead and decided, hey, we want the Justice League movie? Do you think Flash and Cyborg should be included? Their story arc should be included in that film, or to be like mixed in, and you have the Justice League movie kind of just go ahead and just play it out, or they should have their standalone movies first before even considering the Justice League movie?
No. What I think should have been done is that they, in the Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman movies, they should have expanded that role. I'm not saying in a certain sense. I'm not saying like all the characters have to show, like the rest of the Justice League members have to show up in either a Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman movie, because that, you're going with a plot line that I just don't like. Like, the Amazons, Wonder Woman meets Aquaman in the movie. Like, Aquaman has a direct role in the movie. No, you could have most of those characters appear in Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman. I don't say it have to be in a certain order, but if I were to do it, I would exclude Wonder Woman and just put it into Superman and Batman. So, like, Flash appears in Superman, and then later on, after these couple of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman movies are done, you introduce the Justice League. And that's the greatest way that you could expand the DC universe, and you could set up a movie for the Justice League and actually have pretty good characters, like pretty good villain for them.
Originally, there was supposed to be a 2-part arc for Justice League. Yeah, they were going to do 2-part movies back to back, but they kept changing it.
Yeah,
and I think the reception from the other movies kind of hurt it for that ever happening. So they decided just to try to make its own standalone movie and kind of go with it there.
I thought that was terrible, because they're trying to cram things. They're trying to cram things down too quick, and they're trying to put what is it? They're trying to cram things too quick, and it's crammed. I don't know if
it's crammed. It's terrible. It's shitty what they did, and it's just to try to make money out there. There's no craftsmanship. There's no care for these stories, for these characters. It's just rushed, and it's a shit on a platter.
That's true. That's a shit on a platter. I would say worse. It's like kind of like squalor. So it's like shit in the corner of a squalorous home, and that's what what I'm advocating for. That's what they should have done. That would have made so much sense. The Flash appears in the Superman movie. He just appears. I'm not saying he has a direct role or anything like that, but he appears, and that's setting up for the next Justice League movie.
So let's get this straight, because I was actually thinking, like, if they were to kind of reboot this, and I'm kind of liking I recommend you watch Unbreakable, Split, and then Glass when it comes out in January. Do you think for them to try to have their own catch up with Marvel, do you think after end of each standalone film they should have like a sneak or a twist, someone at the end of the movie or somewhere towards the conclusion of the movie that would hint that the character would appear in the next installment? Like,
yes,
kind of like they would actually show up and have a scene that could be a little bit pivotal. In the movie, but then kind of tease it next time.
Tease it next time, where you could tease it. Like the Flash, he meets, he shows up in Superman, meets Superman, and you're already setting up this step for the Justice League movie. That would have been awesome, and that would have been. I'm not saying you have to have that characters have a pivotal or that they actually have to meet. Like Aquaman. Aquaman shouldn't appear in either of the Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman movies, because then it just ruins the thing that you're trying to do. So they should show up in Justice League instead. And when it finally comes out, because each of these movies, these Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman movies, it's trying to take a step towards the Justice League. Mm-hmm. And that would be good. That would have been awesome. They finally meet each other. They set up a Superman team, and it's quality plot line and respect to the characters. Because unlike Marvel is more like a gimmicky type of thing. They're trying to get the most money out of that they possibly can from their characters. They don't put a quality time in, nor do they invest their time in writing them real well. And DC has always beaten them because they have good characters, they're quality characters, but they treat them with respect. They have respect for the continuity. They try to give their characters charisma and depth to them. I don't know if you noticed that, but like the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman has depth to them.
Yeah. Well, they had time to go depth with in depth with the character because it's just about Batman. They didn't try to focus on any other character because it's Batman's story. It's his own standalone. So I mean, they had time to it wasn't like they were going to set up their own cinematic universe right then. They wouldn't even match right with the tone Christopher Nolan was going to do. I think that was mentioned before that they originally wanted to have Christian Bale back in his role as Batman, but Christopher Nolan produced Man of Steel and then Batman vs Superman, and then I think they approached him about it. He was like, "Nah, it's not going to fit right with my tone. Y'all got to reboot Batman your own way, man."
They should have brought back Christian Bale and should kept up with the Nolan universe.
It wouldn't fit right because it wouldn't fit with that universe what they built with Batman.
Okay, so it could fit. I mean,
not practically. I mean, with the idea with how Batman kind of looked then with his practical armor, what they did with it, it just didn't. It didn't really go with the vibe that it would have kind of worked with
the Justice League.
With that tone that they're going for a cinematic universe with the DC. It wouldn't work for me.
But for the stuff that I've been saying so far, it would have worked because I would have to depend on a lot of that Nolan universe, Christopher Nolan's work on Batman. It can work. That's what I've been saying. It can work. I mean, you could introduce a villain. Batman ends up in Metropolis, he's looking into investigating what's been going on. There's a string of criminal activities that leads him to Metropolis. So he has to figure out what's going on. It ties in with Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor should have been the villain that they have to defeat. And that would have set it all up, Batman and Superman, they're confrontational against each other. They have different methods about how to do things. So, they're not friends yet. But
no, they never had like a friend relationship.
Yeah.
With any of the Justice League cartoons at all.
Yeah, and that's what they should do. And it's not like, hey, what's up, bro? No, they're confrontational with each other. They don't like each other's methodologies too much.
It's like shit, man. I don't like you, and you don't like me, but you do got some,
good
pros,
points. Yeah, I have to work with you,
so I gotta work with you.
Yeah, there you go, like that. And they take down Lex Luthor, and then they introduce Wonder Woman. Not in the way that they did with Dawn of Justice. That was kind of ridiculous.
Don't Wonder Woman and Superman date?
No, they dated at one point, but they retconned it. I kind of go for. I'm kind of going for. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. That was pretty good. Like in the Justice League cartoon, I like that. I like that idea more than Superman and Batman.
They did that? Oh yeah. They kind of no. I don't remember that. No.
That would have been good. Though.
Okay, so for Batman and Superman: Dawn of Justice, would you recommend it? Do you consider it, overrated or underrated for what it was trying to do, for the ideas that they're trying to exploit out, or do you think it's a movie that they? You already said it's a terrible movie, so So, do you think people should watch it or give it a try just for what they were trying to attempt to do, or avoid it all entirely?
Give it a shot. You'll never know until you see it. If you like it, that's fine. But since I come back from the comic book background, and
since you know more about it, and everything.
And since I believe if I directed it, I would have done it that way, the way I've just said. But give it a shot. See what you think of it. I like the costume a lot.
Yeah, the costume. Yeah, costume.
Batman's costume. Yeah, and give it a shot this one time and see what you think of it. But for the most part, I think they could have done better. You don't have to necessarily bring in Christopher Nolan, but you could copy some of his directing style. Like you said, he doesn't use CGI.
No, he'll try to avoid it as much as he can in his movie, to make it more practical.
You should be more practical with that movie. It could work, and you could make a fantastic piece of artwork that lives up to the comic book history of the characters. And delivers what the audience wants: plot, action, and movie. Depth, darkness to it too, because you got Batman involved there, and he has to be dark. He's not a happy sunshine character. And what? I'd have to restate and say, yeah, give it a shot.
So, have you heard about Marvin Noir?
Marvin Noir?
Noir.
Noir?
Yeah.
No.
It's and I just kind of found out about it. I don't know much about it, but it's a darker take versions on certain superheroes such as Spider-Man, Logan, X-Men, Deadpool, and Punisher, where their encounters take place within the 1930s.
Yeah.
And
I did. I thought you said noir. I was like, well, noir. You're talking noir.
Yeah, like noir. Yeah.
Yeah, the French word. I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah, and that's actually pretty good. For me, I like the old Marvel characters. I think you have a lot of untapped potential with them. I'm such a big DC fan that you could have made a pastiche, like a group based off the JSA. These are these old-timer heroes who are still in action, and they're the ones who have to educate and, raise the next group of heroes within the DC universe. They could have done that with Marvel, and it should have been called the Minutemen. And it's like, based off the noir characters, like Angel. I don't know if you read it.
No. Actually, I just discovered it. I would love to have a chance to read Marvel, any of the Marvel the noir comics, because I think that would be a great idea for them to do a television show. It would be like a Sin City kind of like superhero. I think it'd be a fantastic idea. It would be R.
Yeah.
It would be R. It would need to be R. They better not PG-13 that shit. Either they could release it on Netflix. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Or make it kind of like a cartoon.
Yeah.
But I want to see that happen. It looks a whole lot interesting. It seems a whole lot bolder.
Yeah.
I kind of like it when they kind of change up ideas a little bit and kind of just test it out and try to make things that seems testing the genre a bit. That's why I kind of love Watchmen so much. I didn't like it at first because it was different, but I grew on it and it just resonated me. Like this was a different story that was trying to tell a superhero story that was unconventional. It was trying to do something a little bit different, and I appreciate it for over the years for trying to do, and Unbreakable for what they were trying to do, having their own mini cinematic universe only after 3 films, when the third one comes out in January. So I would really like to read the Marvel Noir, and personally I do recommend watching Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, because I do think it's somewhat of an underrated film, but I believe it's underrated because it was trying to do something that's a little bit bold, and unfortunately the filmmaker the studios kind of forced the filmmaker out of it because they didn't like the approach. And I do like I think it's a bold superhero film, but I think it's not one where craftsmanship wise it was good. So it's a watch, but it does have its issues. I mean, not any movie's perfect, but it's just one that resonates with you, that stands out to all the others, because this one stood out to me a lot after all the other movies that they had. I think me watching it again this morning, I think it was like the 4th time. This will be the 2nd time. Actually, it was the 3rd. I think it might have been the 3rd time anyway. So it's like the 2nd time I watched the Ultimate Edition. First time I watched the original theatrical back in March whenever it came out. I did not like it, but the Ultimate Edition, which I would always recommend to watch that one, did improve on it with pacing and then with story.
Right. I think what you made is just a bunch of great points for it. I myself, I'm a comic book. I don't read comic books anymore, but I am because they retconned everything, and it's just squalor. But I agree with those points. I think they did make some very good points. I just didn't like that, Batman and Superman were confrontational against each other. I think they don't necessarily have to like each other, nor do they like each other, but they had to work together. to bring it down. It should have some dark aspect within it, kind of like from the Batman universe and the Nolan universe. It needs to have it because it's not going to work.
Yeah. And also I wanted to ask you, what you think of the fight?
I thought the fight was kind of stupid. Batman should have had at least he has kryptonite. That's why it was kind of stupid.
Yeah, he had kryptonite. He had the gun and kryptonite kept shooting him in the face.
He should have used the kryptonite. Batman is one of the world's best fighters. Like I said, he has a plan for everything. So that's what he should have done. He should have opened up this little case that he has and he showed him the kryptonite, and he should have had him on his knees, and he should have been beating on him.
So what do you think? So what do you think Batman's motives were? Where you think he just wanted to blab and just psychologically torture Superman and then put him out of his misery, or you think his intentions were just to straight up just kill him? Because it looked like he was kind of just toying with him. He looked like he was being an asshole there. I mean, it was like, okay, I'm just gonna mess with you and then know that you're nothing, which I think that was the intent. Because really, you're right. He could have just, because when he shot that spear and Superman caught it, and it just blew kryptonite mist into his air. I thought he was gonna keep shooting him in the face. If he kept, and honestly, if he kept shooting him in the face, that would have killed him. He would have won.
It would have killed him.
He would have won.
And I think that's a tone. But Batman doesn't kill people; he fights them.
He killed him, and he kills them in the movie.
He did? Who did he kill?
He killed some bad guys. There was a scene where he was chasing a car chase scene. And he uses bullets and shoots it, and then he ends up shooting that dude who had the flaming torch who was going to burn Martha Kent. So he ends up shooting it, the tank, and then it ends up blowing up, and he ends up saving Martha, and then well, then there's the dream sequence, so it's like that's set in the future. So I guess he got tired of trying to save people. He just like, I'm just straight up kill you guys. I don't give a shit no more.
He just went rogue. He went rogue.
It's like, I just don't give a shit no more. So was that like when? So it's like Batman has his own like army too, and Superman has his own there. Because I mean, in the scene,
Superman is a one-man army. He's in a one-man army corps. I mean, he could bench press the whole planet. Yeah,
but there were people there that had his design that was worshiping him, killing him.
Right. In that arc that I was talking about, Superman versus Batman, he does kill people, but he uses non-lethal force. So he has like his. I think what he did was he knows what's gonna happen, so he just blew it up. But he doesn't kill them. They're still alive.
So he'll kind of make it coincidental, like, because there's a scene where he does that fight scene in the warehouse where this guy, he has one of them upside down, and the guy was about to throw a grenade at Batman, which was kind of dumb. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with that grenade? I mean, you gonna blow it? What are you gonna do? You gonna run up to him? You gonna run up to him?
And blow yourself up?
Or what? So he opens a grenade. Batman kicks the guy who was hanging upside down and bumps the other guy. In another room, he drops the grenade and he looks at the grenade. It's like, oh crap, and blows up, kills both of those guys.
I think they might have survived. I'm just being, because Batman doesn't kill people. I think they might have survived.
Well, I actually like the bold choice of him doing that. I mean, but maybe it's just me. I just love the darker take that they took. I just didn't like the execution on certain things that they did with the film, and it floored me that after so many years of anticipating for a Batman vs Superman film, and this is the result that they came up with because they were so hell-bent on having a cinematic universe for own, but then again, this is a business, so money is money. They want to make money.
Well, you could have added more money, and you could have had people, kind of like an addiction.
Technically, the movie was a box office disappointment.
Yeah, it was a box office disappointment. But you could have had so many people addicted for more movies down the road if they just done it right, instead of thinking, okay, we're trying to make as much money as possible, let's make a story that's really good, and we'll have people more, hooked onto it, and they'll start watching it, And think that's what they should have done. That's what they should have done. It would have been more. It would have made more sense. And the thing with Batman versus Superman is that it was dark. It's just Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor was terrible. Character was terrible.
He like I said, it was cringe. Where it kind of cringe. It made me cringe.
You just want to cringe.
It was like, I just don't want him in the movie. Like, get his ass out of here.
Get out.
It's like, how could you, like, what kind of direction were he's going? Were you going for the Joker? Were you going for the Riddler? Were you going for who? Like,
yeah,
that was not Lex Luthor. That was a Joker. That was the Joker.
Or a farce. The farce. The farce. It should have been called the farce.
Like, that was just like shitty portrayal of Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Spacey was fine.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what direction they were kind of going for. I kind of like his character in Superman Returns.
Yeah.
I thought he acted a little. I thought he acted too silly at certain points of the movie, but his portrayal was kind of what I was going for. But
yeah,
I wanted more maturity out of his character, Lex Luthor, and I think that's why Morris Chestnut would have been a lot better, because he hasn't shown in any films that, from what I've seen, maybe a little bit, silliness, but it's not silliness to where it's like exaggerant, right? Because I felt like his character and Superman Returns was a little bit exaggerant. I felt like he still kept his cool. If Morris Chestnut were to have been cast as Lex Luthor,
I think that should have been the case. You made a great description, and you make a great argument for why he should be Lex Luthor. And I totally agree. This guy sounds like he could do it. Just a little bit of modification, so he could live up to that. Live up to that character, so he could portray him to the best extent possible. And that's what I agree. All these points that I've made, that's what I genuinely believe. I think you could have just introduced the rest of the Justice Leaguers in these other movies, in Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and that would have been fine, But I would not include Cyborg, because Cyborg originally was not part of the Justice League. He was part of the Teen Titans. What they're trying to do is get rid of the Martian Manhunter. And what they could.
Oh yeah, what about like that dude's a straight out alien, right? Yeah.
And they could have introduced him. Actually, what they could have done is Martian Manhunter arrives on Earth. Because I'm taking this storyline directly from the Justice League animated movie, but what he could have done is taken it directly from that, and he helps them fight, some supervillain or whatever.
So, what do you think the villain in Justice League should have been alien-like, or should have just been?
That's hard. I think that's a hard.
Because I totally forgot about that character, and then there's another character I remember from the cartoon who had like a Hawk girl. Hawk girl. Yeah.
Hawk girl was cool. But it's so difficult trying to answer that question, because I want to say Darkseid. But then again, that's way too soon. I think Darkseid should have been kind of like in the Avengers Infinity War.
They would have to have like 20 films before even introducing Darkseid.
Yeah, and and the Justice League movies should deal with something else. It's not directly leading to Darkseid until the very last moment.
So do you think they should continue where they're going, or they should totally reboot? Because
you're gonna have to reboot.
Even the actress who's doing Wonder Woman is doing a great job, and then Henry, and then there's a guy who signed on, Jason Momoa as Aquaman. They're not going to be able to return for the roles anymore.
In fact, I feel like their roles will be even terminated. I feel it's just a fluke. It just flunked. It couldn't keep afloat, and it's not going to keep afloat because people have higher expectations for the Justice League. And
and that's how I demand. I know we could technically get it right, but if I think you just want force other ideas in and try to make it work. It's
not going to work.
No, I mean, I wonder if when you're making the movie, I wonder if the people who force the ideas, I mean, with the producers and then the head of the studios, I wonder if they're familiar with any of the properties. And Warner Bros., it's from their property. They own that property, so it's not like they have to go to somebody else's property. They own DC.
Right.
DC originated from Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And it's always been with Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how they could kind of mess up their own product.
Yeah. So.
But I love Warner Brothers. Okay, I grew up with Warner Brothers with their cartoon block on Saturdays and during the weekdays.
Me too.
Their cartoon Batman animated series, Superman animated series.
Yeah. Justice
and they made some of the most memorable action movies in the 90s to me.
Yeah.
So I love Warner Brothers, and plus I love their film Blade Runner 2049 that came out last year, which bombed at the box office. Which is this is off topic, but they made some memorable movies, and I love Warner Brothers. It's just so good. Yeah, it's just their work in my lifetime has made a big impact in my life growing up.
Your take on the movies and stuff, the stuff that you create.
Yeah, it's just their DC movies right now is just
it's just trash.
Well, Wonder Woman was good. I'll give Wonder Woman that, but the rest of them is shit.
Yeah. So no, I don't think they're gonna be able to keep it up because people have higher expectations. What they're gonna do is lose a lot of money, is what they're gonna do. Because if Justice League was underrated at the box office, what makes them think underperformed? I don't think it made a lot of money neither, right?
I think it made lower money than Dawn of Justice did.
Oh, okay. So if that's true, then what makes them think if they keep on bringing Aquaman, the Flash, or any other characters on board that they're gonna do better? It's the quality that they have to invest time in. And so, I don't think Zack Snyder was fit to make...
That's what they're thinking now, yeah.
Yeah, was fit to make, Dawn of Justice. It should have been somebody else. And it, even the title Dawn of Justice, it seems too quick.
Yeah, they shouldn't even entitle the movie Dawn of Justice. It should have just been Batman vs Superman or
Batman and Superman.
Yeah, or not even before that. Before they could even do that, they should have just had their own standalone films. Just worry about themselves, not try to worry about what Marvel's doing. And honestly, I don't go watch all their movies. Not all their movies. Well, most of them. Like I didn't watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, it intrigued me, but I kind of want to watch it because nobody's really talking about it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think what they should have done is they should have had that come out first before having Infinity War, because nobody's really caring about Ant-Man now.
Yeah. That's the whole point. I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought it was all right. It was interesting. I just wanted to see Giant Man. I just wanted him to see as Giant Man. That's all I really cared about. But anyways, off topic. Ant-Man and the Wasp was kind of sexist. There's a little bit of sexism going on. There's a reason why Giant Man's a lot bigger than the Wasp. I thought they should have made them like equal. They both have the same ability to either grow or shrink, technically. And that's my spin on it, because I learned that in my sociology class. So men are superior to women, and that's one way they displayed it. And that's it. And it was kind of freaky watching her be it's almost like a fetish movie when he was in the locker room at the school, and he grew to giant size, and she was on his lap and trying to get him to shrink back down. It was kind of what am I watching? Is this like a fetish thing or something?
I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I would love to watch. I would like to watch it whenever I get a chance to. Maybe whenever it comes on Netflix, or whenever they decide to have their own Disney streaming service. I mean, I heard that's coming in next year, so all those movies are going to be on that, and which that is now the thing now with having streaming services now. And who goes to the movies anymore? I still go to the theater. I love going to the theater.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna, even though they're pricey. Go watch Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. Watch the Ultimate Edition. Skip Justice League, but hey, everybody is their own critic on their own movie. So if you like it, cool. If you didn't like it, you can let me know what you thought about the movie. And do you have anything else to say with Dawn of Justice?
Check it out. I'd take a look at the other DC movies, Keep watching the Dark Knight trilogy. I watch it, and it's superb. It never fails. It never, my expectations for it never falls. But you never know. Yeah, I don't think this should define your view on the DC Universe movies. They might just retcon this, reboot it, and make some finer quality.
Yeah, I think they're gonna reboot it too, because it's you guys aren't, you ain't winning here. The only winner is Wonder Woman, and well, let's hope Aquaman does well, and Shazam. And honestly, I'm not too enthusiastic with Shazam, and I wonder if they were to retain that darker tone, Aquaman would have been fine. I would have been more curious how Shazam would have handled a dark tone with it. I mean, it wouldn't be a comedy.
It wouldn't be
and not at all for what they were going for, because it just feels like a Marvel film. It would be like maybe like a fish out of water kind of like movie. What's a dark movie that kind of deals with a similar idea with Shazam?
Shazam, the comic book character, is by no means a dark. If you're looking for dark, gritty stuff, you're looking at the wrong comic book character.
So I can see why they had to change the tone for that, but then again, I still favor the tone they went with. Dawn of Justice is just it would have been tough to classify that film with that tone with Shazam, and the only movie I could think of that's a dark related that could pull it off with it is maybe go with a like Star Kid approach, kind of like in that movie where that kid finds that alien robot machine and goes in it and he's like a superhero. Who, if anybody watched that movie, or like Short Circuit, they'll have to go with that.
Actually, that would fit the bill for Shazam.
With Short Circuit or Star Kid?
Star Kid. So,
because Star Kid had a dark vibe to it a little bit, but it
not too much.
But it not too much. It was still trying to be a mature movie.
I think Star Kid for Shazam, if you pick up the theme for it, it's great. That would make Shazam live up to the comic book character. Essentially, Shazam is Billy Batson, an orphan kid. His parents were killed by what would later be in the comics his greatest nemesis, Black Adam. And he has that. It looks like it has that approach. They should take that approach for Shazam, that Star Kid approach, because it will really live up to it. And he meets the wizard, just like Stark. The main
in the trailer from what they show in the trailer.
Yeah, for what they show in the trailer, he meets. Oh, they already have it.
They show. You haven't seen the trailer
for Shazam?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
The trailer's online.
Wow, I gotta see that.
Yeah, the trailer's online. Yeah. I don't know. The villain looks like some gangster dude.
Really?
Yeah. But the movie's online right now. The trailer's online, and if they also have Aquaman trailer online. But also another movie I was just thinking about it that could work with the tone. Oh man, I just thought of Guyver. For those who don't know Guyver, that's an animated. It's an anime. They could work with the live action movies weren't all that great neither. Yeah. So, but tone wise, they can kind of work with that a little bit, but they would still have to keep it. It would have been hard. It would have been hard for them to keep that tone with a film like Shazam. So, so with Batman vs Superman, check it out. For its boldness for what it was trying to what it was trying to do with big ideas, but it was interfered with a lot of unnecessary plot elements just to cram for a Justice League movie, which
was a spin-off of the Avengers.
Which it was a huge disappointment at the end. Jesse Eisenberg should never been cast as Lex Luthor, which honestly it hurt the film for me a pretty big time, because every time he was on screen he was annoying as hell. So and I do consider it as an underrated movie for its bold ideas, but at certain points it didn't land for me. Do I consider it as a masterpiece? Maybe a flawed masterpiece. To the best of my extent, a flawed one.
It could be. Actually, what they could do is just to do a reboot of that, and they could connect the Nolan verse with this Superman verse. And I think they should do that in the future, where they're just going to expand the DC universe through the line of these characters and these movies. I think it should be done. And I think it should be done well. It should live up to the comic book characters' expectations. It should give the audience a taste of what that character is really like, just like if they were reading a comic book itself. Not exactly like a comic book, because it's a movie. But it should have that. And I think that they can do that. They should really do that. They should reboot Dawn of Justice. Not Dawn of Justice at all. Like, call it something else, but not Dawn of Justice. Superman, Batman. And they should have the logo with Superman and the Superman logo and the Batman logo together. That would be cool.
Yeah. Alright. If you like this video, comment below. Let me know what you think about this. And I will see you in my next review. Thank you for joining me, Ruben.
No problem. I'm always glad to be here.
Yeah.